Justin, just start
What's that? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
with the draft script.
Yeah. There's a little modification.
Justin, we can't hear you.
It did say consistent with been gone. The Baker's executive order's gone. It's really is the legislatures. But anyways, it's
Okay. Well, it's 7:01. I'll look at Justin's guidance, but I'll call the meeting to order. And as required, I'll read the draft script from remotely conducted open meetings. And confirming member access. As a preliminary matter, this is John McGrath. I'm acting TMAC chair. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. And then actually, Daphne, do you want to do the roll call?
Sure. Justin McCullough. He is here. You unmute, Justin. Well, we still unmute Justin, but look, Rain Whalen is absent. Lieutenant McGrath.
Present.
Rebecca Tarantino. We heard that she was going to be absent. Donna Mullen. Please unmute, Donna. Donna, please unmute. Barry McNeely. Please unmute. Barry, please unmute.
Present.
All right. Tom Ryder, absent. So right now, we have 1, 2. Justin, could you please?
I am here. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
present.
So right now we have 1, 2, 3, and Donna, I'm not sure whether she's attending. We have not gotten any response from Donna. Could you please unmute? We only have,
I saw it flash.
I saw it flash too. Donna?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you're there. So we now have a quorum.
With that said, having a quorum, do we have any staff members? Staff members, this area? Yeah, staff.
I'm here.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
Bob
Good.
Wilson.
I'm here. Yep.
I'm here, Daphne Collins, recording secretary, and Tyler.
And then anticipated speakers on the agenda. Looks like we have one. Ms. Hurd.
Hi.
Hi.
The
Welcome
other
to-
petitioner is in the room. I'm trying to get her to, looks like she's joining.
This would be
Lauren, I think.
Here she is.
of course I pulled
Leanne.
them wrong.
Leanne.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can hear you.
Okay. Okay, I had to join on my laptop. Apologies. It was not working on my phone.
Not a
No problem.
problem. Welcome. I just realized I printed the wrong agenda, so that was part of my problem, but I'll continue with this and pull that up. Just a little formality, required to read this for the open meeting laws. Good evening. This is open meeting of the Traffic Management Advisory Committee is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have the meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. This meeting is a webinar and will allow public comment. For this meeting, the TMAC is convening by Zoom app as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. For Zoom meetings, please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Meeting materials. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Meeting business ground rules. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, the chair will go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking. Please remember to speak clearly in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until the chair yields the floor to you and state your name before speaking. For items with public comment, after members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will open the item for public comments by the raising of the electronic raise hand. For those participating by computer, the raised hand option can be found by linking the participants button at the bottom of the screen. It will bring up options to choose, select the raised hand. For those participating by mobile device, click the more button at the bottom right hand and select raised hand. The chair will call on each raised hand in order received. Please identify yourself by name and address. You'll be afforded up to 3 minutes for any comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. That said, let me find the current agenda so I can call on the right people here. But I believe first up item would be approving last meeting's minutes. Do we have somebody that would like to approve or put a motion forth?
But a motion forth for the approval of the minutes.
We have a second?
Second,
Okay, motion passes. Actually, Kathy, I'm sorry, you have to do a roll call, correct?
Justin McCollum,
Yes, approve. Aye.
Lieutenant McGrath,
Aye.
Donna Mullen,
aye, here.
Barry McNeely.
Aye, here.
All right, the minutes are approved.
Okay. So, Bob, status report update.
Oh, sorry, I'm here. Okay, what we have this time around is a couple things, and I'm pretty sure that a email was presented regarding the Dedham parking signs near Webster Street have been removed. That's one of the things that has happened. Also, I am told by Mr. Ryan Hoyland, and I believe, John, you may know more about this, on the speed signs on Forest Street. Did you
Yeah,
talk to
so,
Ryan about that? You might have more to say than I do. I just got like secondhand info.
essentially the petitioner from a while back reached back out to me requesting speed enforcement on Forest Street. Again, it's the nicer weather. School is in session, new class up there, or at the end of new class of people with cars, I should say. So she was concerned about the speed on Forest Street again. I know that Justin has brought up in the past those that the speed signs, speed radar signs have become more affordable. And I believe the last speed study indicated that Forest Street was I believe 9 miles over the speed limit typically.
Yeah, it was a little bit over, yes.
Okay, so I think I reached a point where we've tried typically what we do A, B, C, and D, and we've exhausted those options. So I was willing to entertain putting those radar signs in at this location because I think we've exhausted what we could do to make it, to show that it was a necessity at that particular spot. So I was just gonna, I wanted to find out first if it was feasible, affordability wise, for the DPW to handle, and then essentially put forth on the old agenda item a motion to install those signs if that was required in this format. I don't know if any of the members had any thoughts. Or Justin, I know you did some research on the speed signs.
Can I ask when the speed study was done a couple of years ago?
Yes.
What was the speed limit at that point?
30
Okay.
30 miles per hour.
All right, again, I went out there today and, you know, again, things change over the years. If you really go down the street, there's 4 signs posted, 2 going each way in a 25 miles an hour zone. Yeah, you know, myself, if you want to stay with the 25, they probably should put one coming in and Needham. And by, is that Brookside or?
Probably Brookside, yeah. I
Yeah.
would say that, yeah.
Other than that, I interpret it as basically 25. Once you hit the town from Wellesley coming in, it's a 25 mile an hour zone because again, the spacing of the signs, that's, you know, my opinion. And I didn't know when at the time when the issue was raised a couple of, 2 years ago, whatever. And the speed study done, was that when it was posted at 30 miles an hour? I don't know. I'm in a disadvantage regarding that information.
I can say, if I can step in, this is Bob Wilson talking again. The study was done in April and early May of 2019, about 3 years ago. And the speeds were around 37 to 39 miles per hour, depending on the direction.
But were those posted 25 mile an hour signs existing at that time?
Oh,
That exist today? They exist
I
today.
understand. I see what you're
25.
saying. I'm not, and you mean those yellow signs or the white
Yeah.
signs?
Yeah,
Yellow sign,
Yellow signs.
they may have, I not recall, they may have actually been installed since this count has happened. That's
That-
possible.
That was a motion a few years ago to install those signs.
I think they might have been installed since
That-
this count. Yeah.
Yeah.
within the
and-
past
and-
few years.
And it was the study as well as installing signs with a curve, that the curve was kind of.
Yeah, right.
So that has
Yeah.
happened.
Okay.
Those are new
So it's
signs.
to answer Barry, I believe that the count was before they put the signs up.
if I can just jump in. So this is Justin. The signs, I mean, so the posted, it's unposted. It's basically the de facto speed limit of 30, correct? We
Yes.
have 25 mile an hour advisory signs, but there is no regulatory posted sign. It's only the 30 mile an hour thickly settled.
Correct.
Or is there a posted sign there?
I don't.
There's no
So-
30, there's no 30 mile an hour sign. There's
Okay, so
only the 25, the yellow 25s
sure.
exists right now.
Gotcha. All right, that answers my question. So it's a 30 mile an hour. So, okay, got it. So,
But then, you know,
Lieutenant Rath.
as you also know, unfortunately, it's not right. It's not right. 25, you should do 25, but it's gonna shift everything down like 5 miles an hour if it was originally under the 30 mile an hour zone, 3 years ago. So, now theoretically, like I say, it's not right, but it's posted 25, so now people may be doing 30 as prior to before.
sure. So Lieutenant, you were asked, I don't have I just know that last time I went on Google and was looking at those radar speed signs, and they were significantly cheaper than when they were installed as part of Central Ave down by the school. which is, the one that, flashes. You can get them, for basically 25% of the cost during that project. But I don't have any actual hardcore prices. And, I'd probably yield to what the DPW can acquire through their sourcing channels.
I think Rain was of the thought that he had a quote. I think they were okay with the price quote, but he
Okay.
wanted before, he wanted the approval of the board where it was heard before here.
Sure.
I didn't want to set a precedent that we're going to start popping these things up everywhere because they are a cost. But I thought
100%.
In this particular instance, it was because we exhausted the other alternatives.
Agreed. I do share your concern that I think now that this is a technology that we can potentially use in our toolbox, we should be cautious on how we use it because of this is, it is more expensive, and we don't want to set and start to have them everywhere because as soon as they're up, everyone is going to want them on their street, and obviously that's something that just is also not feasible either. So either we with the DPW and we work with a, how to do a, how we would ascertain the criteria, and that we would bring a specific scenario through, a street through, potentially something like we're doing now in terms of Brookside. We've done the advisory speed limits. We've done the, the other mitigation. We've posted, we've done increased enforcement. I mean, I'm for, in this specific case, for doing something potentially, I'd like to hear the rest of the committee, but then I'd also want to make sure that we, as TMAC, works with, the DPW to figure out a strategy to deploy going forward for the rest of the town or for future requests. In a similar way that we have the GPI consultant gave us a crosswalk criteria that we would use. We should probably have a criteria for speed signs, so that we have something to have a frame of reference to, so that we don't just have to do these ad hoc requests. Does that make sense? And
It makes sense that, so before I put that motion to install that sign, do we want to wait till there's more representatives from DPW to see if we've exhausted, in their opinion, exhausted everything, so that?
Yes, I would probably,
I feel,
now that we know
sorry,
that we,
go ahead.
sorry, I'm sorry, go ahead, Bob, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that that's a good suggestion. I believe that Ryan or Tom Ryder would have plenty to say on this, mostly in the affirmative. So, but
Okay.
it'd be better to hear from them too.
So then I guess it would be, Tyler, if it's appropriate to put this on next month when we have a larger forum.
Or next meeting anyway.
Or next meeting.
yeah.
Next meeting, yeah.
Yeah, for the next meeting. Got
Okay.
it.
All right, so then I guess we can move on to fourth item on the agenda, the crosswalks on Webster Street at Morton Street. And is Leanne Ratty here, if I pronounced that correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
No
Hi,
problem.
everyone. So I'm a resident that lives on Morton Streets. So I am often walking and crossing Webster, and found it very difficult and very dangerous and felt very unsafe, and realized that there's no crosswalk for a pretty long stretch. So there's an intersection at West and Webster. You can cross there. And then there's no crosswalk until you get down to the high school. So you're passing Lexington, Morton, Mellon, Morton, Cary Road, and then a few more streets. I can't even think of all of them, Rosemary. And then there's a crosswalk. And there are now flashing lights, I believe, at that first crosswalk by the high school. So if you're trying to get to the Heights and you're coming from any of the streets on the opposite side of Webster and trying to cross over, there's no crosswalk. In addition to that, cars tend to speed up because there's no reason to stop. There's no traffic light. There's no stop sign from West Street, the intersection of West, and not another stop until the intersection of Harris and Webster. So cars are going really fast. I did take video today if you want me to share it. I tried to cross at 3:30 at Lexington and Webster. It took about a little over a minute and me waving to the cars to get them to stop. Otherwise, no one was going to stop for me. There's no way. Do you want to see that video, or I don't want to share it if it's not necessary?
So, no, if you'd like to share it, that's fine. We can. we're
Okay.
happy to share it.
All right, let me see if I can do this. Can you see that video?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Wow. Oh, wow. You can't cross. Wow.
Okay. Thank you for letting me share.
No problem. Thank you for sharing.
So that, I just wanted to show that it's difficult, and I worry for children because they might not be able to, to do it, and so know to wave to the drivers. And I do see children crossing, and I know some of the school buses stop, and the children do cross Webster, and you would hope that cars would stop. But I just worry because they're coming so fast that they might miss it. So I just wanted to share, as someone that's always trying to cross that street, it's really difficult. So I just always make sure I walk all the way down to the high school to cross, and so it's safer.
So may I ask a clarifier on your petition? Are
Yeah.
are you amenable to, do you want a crosswalk specifically Webster at Morton, or are you just saying there should be a crosswalk somewhere between West Street and
I think
the high school?
I think somewhere between would satisfy this. I just felt like that would kind of make it seems like it's in the middle, but if there's a better solution, then I'm all for it.
I ask because I know that there's certain requirements and where it may be,
Right.
it might not seem close to West Street, but where you'd sightseeing, you can see West Street.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
You
Justin,
tend to kind of cross,
Yeah.
more in that area because that's where the shops start. And so,
Right.
And I just see that's where a lot of children cross, because I feel like they're coming across and then they're going to the high school. Sometimes they cross there instead of at the high school.
So this is Justin. I did have a question, and the video is choppy on a mobile phone. But so just to kind of orient the geometry from where you were, are you speaking of the two, Morton and Webster, as 90-degree intersection, or is it offset for the other street? Meaning, is it like similar to like a Lantern Lane and Chestnut and the other one, Lieutenant, I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, where it would be a mid-block crossing that would have to be installed, which has a different criteria than a standard full intersection.
I believe it's
Tom, do you know what I'm-
offset, 'cause you were.
Oh, it's offset? Okay.
Yeah, because
It's
Leanne, you were
offset.
standing at.
I
you were
believe it's
standing at
offset
Lexington,
too, yes.
correct?
Yes, I was at the corner of Lexington, so I crossed there and then I turned left, and then Morton would be on my right.
Okay, so that presents just a different kind of nuance, and I know that there are other geometries that I know that we've looked at in the past. However, that doesn't mean we can't do anything. It just means there's a different set of criteria that we need to set through. There's something called a warrant, which basically is a minimum criteria that goes through a standard. And So, I'd be willing to kind of see and, kind of run this intersection through our crosswalk criteria to see if it would meet the warrant.
And I just-
Somewhere in that area.
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm just looking at, because I've got a mobile phone, so I would kind of leave the location, as per, somewhere in the middle between the high school and west.
yes. And in addition, if we can get some crosswalk or some, something in that area, I think the flashing lights do really make a difference. When I use the flashing lights, the crosswalks by the high school, cars definitely are more likely to stop.
Justin, would this fall under where we
So,
would look?
I mean, I would I would entertain, or have Lieutenant McGrath, our chair for this evening, entertain a motion to perhaps evaluate, the intersection for install.
Yeah, I think Justin cut off, but.
Yeah.
saying
I
that
lost him. I
he'd
think I
ent-
lost him somewhere, yeah.
He'd entertain a motion to study a crosswalk there. I think the only thing I'd voice my concern over is I think petitioner is logical in the fact that you have Trader Joe's down at the end of that street, you have businesses. But Webster Street as a whole is a very busy street, and where you have Manning and all these cross-section streets coming into it. I don't think it's uncommon, especially around school time, when you're driving on Webster Street, to see people jetting across from all of those side streets. Lindbergh, Holland, Homestead,
Hoover.
Hoover. So I'd like to caution that, we don't want to blanket Webster Street with crosswalks, but if it's feasible to break it up somewhere in that area, then I'd understand it, but I think it needs to be in a logical location, which it might be Morton, or it might be closer to, what's that, not Larkspur, Longfellow or something, yeah. I don't know if that's up for the highway department to figure out. So I guess, do we have is Justin, do we lose Justin? Okay. If we lost Justin, we might have to pause this, because I don't think we can,
You don't have a quorum.
we don't have a quorum. Oh, Justin's
Oh,
back.
he's back.
My apologies.
That's all right. I don't know how much you heard, Justin, but I guess my only caveat would be if the motion could be where we could do a crosswalk study, but where appropriate. So if it's,
Yes, I agree with that, because I don't want to promise a location right now. I think we need to figure out, the best way. So I agree with that.
So Justin, did you make a motion?
I guess I made a motion to, to evaluate an installation of a crosswalk in that general area, if it can be appropriate. We have a criteria to go through, the GPI study, to see if it's feasible.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Donna,
I
All
second. motion.
right. Justin,
Aye.
Lieutenant McGrath,
aye.
Donna Mullen,
Aye.
Barry McNeely.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Okay.
Thank you,
Good.
everybody.
Thank
problem.
you.
Problem. Thank
Thank
Well,
you.
We now can move on to number 5, parking and signage on Rosemary Street, with Allison Hurd.
Hi, thanks for letting us come to the meeting. I'm Allison Hurd, and I'm the manager of parish operations at Christ Church. And recently, kind of over the year, the parking on Rosemary Street by the church has gotten really out of hand. It seems to be, and this is, I'll pull up, can I screen share?
Yes, please do.
Okay. So it is kind of this area. there's Christ Episcopal Church, there's the memorial parking lot, that's the emergency access to the high school. And this area of Rosemary has pretty intense parking, kind of starting around 9 to 10. Students, seems to be mostly students, will pull out of this parking lot, drive the wrong way up Rosemary, park facing the wrong way, park in this emergency access, and or just park on the sidewalk or park on that side road. And I understand it's public parking, it's street parking right now. But it wasn't like this before, and I've called the police a couple times about it, and this is kind of a new phenomenon this year. There's been a lot of issues with parking in the memorial parking lot as well. So I have reached out to the high school. I feel like this is something they need to manage, but in the interim, I wasn't sure if there could be signage on Rosemary, you know, kind of in this general area that says like no student parking, like Monday through Friday, 7 to 3, for like September through June or something like that. I know there's parts, I believe there are parts of neighborhoods by the commuter rail in Needham that say no commuter parking. So I'm not sure if that's an option. We do like having parking here, not only so the parishioners can get into the church, but we have lots of tenants. We have Storytime Craft, which is a Needham-based not-for-profit. We have Total Eclipse Dance Studio, which is a Needham-based dance studio. We have organizations like AA and some tutoring organizations that used to utilize the street parking, and now it's just, you know, overtaken by students. On Thursday, the police gave out 8 tickets, 3 on Friday, and the police officer finally caught 2 people in cars with bass thumping, speeding up Rosemary, whipping into there, and then parking. So it's not just a parking issue, it's a safety issue. And the tenants using the church and the parishioners tend to be older, or the tenants tend to have young children. So, you know, in general, it seems to be a safety issue. I'm not sure kind of what the right answer is. This is some of the cars parked in the emergency parking. And this is just, I don't know, some cars parked on the side of the road. And there's not even like, they leave giant spaces with parking. So just has been, and this used to be a handicap parking spot. There was work done with National Grid and the handicap spot was never replaced. So then we have people who need handicap parking that can't easily access the church. So we don't know what the right thing is, but we think something should be explored, not only for parking, but for the, you know, driving the wrong way down Rosemary Street.
Thank you. So I do know I can address, I know just recently we are working in conjunction with the, I'm speaking for the police department, not TMAC, but we are working in conjunction with the school department, the school principal, our SROs, and the Memorial Park trustees to try and alleviate some of this problem. It's the worst we have ever seen it. I know that's probably where you saw those 8 tickets the other day. We're working to get the message out because the students were creating their own parking spots in the parking lot. They were parking handicap spots, and that's the lot itself. So we're working with them to try and find a solution, because I don't know what the phenomenon was this year, but it's out of control. So we're working with it within the lot. That's the first I'm seeing of Rosemary Street and the emergency extension there too. We've potentially set up tow issues and things like that. But you're right. There's no signage on Rosemary Street.
No,
So
and there is signage further up. Oh, sorry. There is signage a little further up right at the top of the hill that says no parking 9/1 to 6:30, like 7 a.m. to 3 a.m. Monday through Friday. So that's a little bit further up the street, but ideally there wouldn't be no parking.
Yeah, no, if I can speak, I'm Bob Wilson.
Yeah.
There is and has been for about 20 years a 2-hour parking regulation from basically the handicapped area parking all the way down to Highland Avenue on that side of the street. I'm not sure why the signs are not there, but there is a regulation from, I have it here somewhere, from 2003
Okay.
that has that side from 360 feet east of Highland Avenue, which is basically where that handicap space is, all the way down as 2-hour parking. So even if the students were parked there, they can't park there for more than 2 hours anyway.
Mhm.
Is this something, Bob, where we could just not even have a motion, but ask DPW to revisit putting?
I think that might be a pretty
Yeah.
good answer to the solution. Now, the previous, for the handicap space, which was painted before and now it's gone because they repaved the road or whatever, that probably should be painted. I don't know, I don't think there's a formal regulation for that. I was looking that up. I couldn't find it anywhere. But I'm not sure if the church and other people have says with the selectmen or so. I don't know. But I do know that that was painted as such previously, as well as the signs, which should be there. I don't know why the signs aren't there either. It might be the same reason though.
And could we just send a request to DPW to reinstall 2-hour parking signs and
think that's
repaint the handicap parking signs, parking space if it
Yeah.
meets the proper requirements?
Yeah.
Because that would also need, I think, a fixed sign too. For it to be.
I think, so. I don't remember a sign being there, but I definitely remember the 2-hour parking signs that were there.
The parishioners that have, been going to the church forever, there was not a handicap sign up anywhere, but there was
didn't
handicap
think
signs
so.
painted on the road and like a marked spot. So I don't know what that would mean.
There may have something where there was an agreement that they would maybe paint it as a cautionary. The thing that comes into play for us is, for enforcement purposes, is there's certain requirements, statutory requirements where we can enforce it. There has to be painted and there has to be a fixed sign in 2 places. So it could be something that we do it. Again, you said it might be existing. It could be something where it's painted, but we wouldn't be able to enforce it, if that makes sense. But it would lend people to say you can't park here. I don't know if that's been done, and I don't want to set, let's just randomly paint stuff.
Yeah.
But if where it was pre.
Yeah, that's the questionable thing. I wasn't quite
Right,
sure.
yeah.
I couldn't find any real
Maybe there's
backup on that,
something-
but there may have been something agreement with the church, and Ally might know a little bit more about that than me,
I
but
kind of asked around the church and no one is aware of any agreement. I can do a little more digging on my end and see if we can find anything.
but in the meantime, we can put those other signs up. That's
That
not,
would be
Yeah.
amazing.
I'd be hesitant to randomly put a handicap sign, but if we could do the 2-hour no parking, that would be.
Thank you.
Is that all? Yeah, okay. I think that's everything. I can call the meeting to adjournment if we have a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, Justin McCullough,
Aye.
Lieutenant McGrath,
Aye.
Donna Mullen,
Aye.
Barry McNeely.
Aye.
All right, the motion passes.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Yeah, thanks everyone for showing up.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
thank you.
Aye. Thank you.
All right.